Hi there, Sonia here. Welcome back to another episode of the Help I Am Artist podcast. Now, I love seeing artists succeed, and that's why I make this podcast, a podcast helping artists to create with confidence, work with impact, and understand the business of art. As artists, so much of what we do comes from within us. How we feel and what we think will literally determine our steps. That is why I focus so much on the mindset behind good art. As artists, we need confidence and clarity as to what and why we create. We all want to make art with impact, bring that which is on the inside out with more power. But how do we do this? How do we reach our potential art audience with our work? And what tools can we use to communicate this? And how do we get paid for our art? As artists, we need to realize that we're in business. It's not something that's a glorified hobby or something we do when we feel like it. But in order to be a successful artists, we don't only see ourselves as artists, but we are also businessmen and women. And in this podcast, I'll show you how to do this. Now, it's been some time since my last podcast. Something happened. No, not serious, but summer came to Northern Europe, and as the days lengthened, my routine started to change. My husband and I spent the summer months renovating our 1930s Dutch home. It was quite intense and invasive and pretty dusty, and it threw me. And my I want to podcast every week schedule went right out the window. Maybe you can relate. Vacations come or unexpected surprises pop up and our rhythm changes. Maybe you've had some time to rest this summer or winter or wherever you are in the world, and you've had time to reassess your year and you'd like to make some changes. Or maybe you got quiet enough again and you heard that little small voice again. Did you hear it? While you were taking a walk in nature, or sitting under a starry night sky, or spending quality time with your family? What was that voice telling you? Did you hear you are an artist? Did you feel the little nudges telling you to start to take steps? Or were you confronted by disappointments that your art is not where you'd like it to be? As a new season starts, or a new month, or a new day, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, it's time to take steps to see the big picture again. Put words or nudges into action. You don't have to wait for a new year to start to make resolutions or to write a plan in order to go where you want to be. Now's the time. Today is the day. At the time of this recording, we are enjoying the last rays of summer. Slowly people are coming back from vacation, and next week our schools will start again. As the seasons change, there is a transition. Not only are the leaves turning, but we return to our daily lives with renewed energy. A good moment to set our sights on what we really want. Use that renewed energy and inspiration that you absorbed while traveling and turn that into art, or turn it into your new start. It's time to achieve your dream. Achieving your dream, pursuing the creative life you desire, takes preparation, dedication, and a microscopic focus. Focus is the single most important ingredient you need as an artist to achieve this. In vacation times, we break our routines and our focus changes, and it's often difficult to get back into a healthy flow. You know the saying, a change is as good as a holiday. But this change can cause some nasty habits to stick long after the vacation is over. Adopting a conscious, deliberate focus will help you get your momentum back. Let's have a look first what focus is. The Webster describes it as a state or the quality of having or producing clear visual definition. If you wear glasses, and it's safe to do so, then remove them for a moment. Without your glasses, your world becomes blurred. You miss the details and you can't read or see. Even colors become vague. This is how many of us are walking around. We have a general idea of where we're going, but we miss a clear picture. Now, vacations, however wonderful, or taking a break or unexpected moments can hijack our attention, can blur our focus. Our habits change, our sleep patterns change, we eat differently, we get seriously sidetracked. If you feel that you need to find your momentum again, or if you've heard that whisper telling you to take your art to heart and more seriously, then these steps in this podcast will help you. We will have a look at what blurs our focus and how to start to get a crystal clear picture and steps to take on your art and your art journey. I've broken this episode down into 5 sections and created an acronym for the word focus. I love acronyms. They help me to remember, and from time to time I do a self-check. Taking a new step or uttering a new word is what people fear most. This is a quote from Russian novelist Dostoevsky. It's that fear. Maybe you can relate. You've had a rest or taken a trip or done some soul searching. You've been in touch with what really matters, but deep down you know things need to change. But stepping out of your comfort zone or trying a new technique or connecting with a new audience can be terrifying. One of the most difficult tasks for an artist is to face this primal one, fear. What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not creative enough? What if my ideas are not original? What if I'm too old to start an art career? What if my family thinks I've lost it? And what if my spouse won't understand? Our what-ifs will cloud our vision and keep us from taking new and exciting steps. As artists, we must learn to overcome these fears and doubts. I found that bringing these fears into the light will diffuse them. Remember, fear is a feeling. Start by deciphering what it is that you're feeling and fearing. Where does it come from? What do you do and what do you need in order to get past them? Being a successful artist is less about what we do, but more about how we think. You can master great techniques, but if you don't believe that you are any good, you're going nowhere. You need to manage your mind. Do you have limiting beliefs that your art is not important, or that you are not important? Have you lost too much in life that the fear of losing face or losing self-worth is just too much for you? Is fear blurring your focus? Verbalize this with a loved one, or write it down. As artists, we need to call things what they really are. Procrastination is not always laziness, and feeling uninspired doesn't always mean we can't do it. There are other forces at work here. We need to oppose our fears with an opposite emotion, and that is faith. Believing in who you are, and that you as an artist and your artist heart deserves to be nurtured. Renew your focus and decide that you're going to take yourself seriously. You're going to do what it takes to develop in your art, and even if you take baby steps towards your dreams and your goals. And as artists, we all have our imaginations, this wonderful tool that we can use to flourish, but it also can get us past our fears. We can use them to cultivate and seed our dreams. Sketch or write or make a collage of what you want your artist life to look like. Only when you can see it, then you are creating a path towards it. What do you see? Dare to dream. Dare to put it down. Don't let fear paralyze or limit you. Our brains are a miraculous organ. You know when you really want something, like a labradoodle, or a pair of red shoes, or whatever it is. From that moment, you start to see labradoodles and red shoes everywhere. Your brain will actually help you filter information and draw your attention to that which you desire. This is the same with your art. If you decide in your heart and set out to pursue your art dream, opportunities will present themselves. When you get past the fear and sharpen your focus, you'll actually start to see them. So, you've taken the step, now you've decided you want to take your heart and your life seriously. What's next? It's one thing saying, I'm an artist, and it's another thing doing it. There's nothing quite like the overwhelm to hijack our newly decided focus. You may start out strong, but as you get going, you will face decisions and choices. This brings me to the second letter in our acronym, the letter O. O in this case is opportunities. I don't know about you, but when I go to a supermarket, I need a list. When I'm at home, I know exactly what we need. I look at the fridge, I look at the cupboards, and I can figure it out. But as soon as I walk into the supermarket, I'm overwhelmed by choices. The great marketing campaigns are working, and my attention is drawn to aisles, and things just mysteriously come into my cart that I don't even really need. I need a list. I need to have clear intentions when I walk into the supermarket and make my shopping really intentional. And this is true for our artist journey. There are many opportunities that will present themselves, especially in the season after a vacation and things start getting going. People have new ideas and there's new inspirations and projects get under the way. How are you going to choose what opportunities you're going to say yes or no to? If we don't learn to navigate and edit the opportunities that present themselves, we can easily lose our focus. And this is a big one under artists. It's difficult for us to stick to a plan because we see possibilities everywhere and we make it work and we figure it out. But these very opportunities can cause us to wander and sometimes even get so lost and wind up in places that we can't even remember how we got there and what we're doing there. It's a harsh but powerful awakening to realize we can't do everything. We don't need to do everything. We need to focus. We need to decide what's important. If you look into your heart, what do you find really important? What do you want to be known for? What is it that you want to do? What gives you strength and energy? I find that in order to stay on track, it helps me to place a process between the opportunity and my yes or my no. This process is based on our values, on the things that matter to us the most. In order to have that microscopic focus, we need to be clear about what these values, or valuables as I put it, are for you. Is it the freedom to spend more time with your family? Or the flexibility your art gives you to work whenever or wherever you want? Or maybe you've had health issues and you value your own well-being and you know that you must not have too much stress? Or is it your faith or your friends? Do you stand for injustice or do you have a heart for women in developing countries? Whatever it is, does the opportunity that presents themselves bring you closer or further from what is important to you? Determine what questions you ask when an opportunity presents itself. If you determine these beforehand, they will really help you when you need to make a spur-of-the-moment decision and help you keep on track. In the worksheet I've made for this episode, I've designed specific questions to help you set up this process. At the end of the podcast, I will share with you where you can get this free worksheet. The C in the acronym stands for consistency and continuity. I recently heard of a mother who wanted to pursue a career as an artist. She was determined to make it work, but she knew she had to make sacrifices. She took care of her family, had a day job, but after 8, when her family was taken care of, she would go into a workspace and make art. From 8 to midnight, she would work 5 days a week. That's 20 hours total she was spending on her art per week. The more she spent on her art, the better she became. The better she became, the more she sold, and the more she sold, the more income she got, and the less time she needed for her day job. There was a transition. Of course she needed the energy and the stamina to do this, but she found her rhythm and made it work. Staying focused and keeping on track takes consistency and continuity. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection. Perfectionism will cause you to focus on the wrong things. Focus on progress. Just stepping out consistently. Consistency creates momentum. It gets the wheel turning. Just keep going. Maybe you're not even sure where yet, or maybe you have a vague idea. I love this quote. I shared it on my Instagram this morning. Don't wait until you have all the answers. Action creates clarity. As you take steps, clarity will come. Consistency and moderation are more important than you think. Step by step, but steady and slowly. Setting realistic, attainable goals. Little victories can be great motivators. Getting one small painting down, writing those first few pages, or sketching that one sketch per day. Find something that's attainable and do it consistently. What do you need in order for you to get consistent and create continually? Here are some thoughts. Find patterns and consistencies that you have adopted that are keeping you from reaching your goals. Maybe you have consistently been bad with money and you need help to get your budget in order. Or maybe you have little discipline when it comes to your time management. Or you find it hard to say no to others. Identify these patterns and build systems to compensate. In the worksheet I mentioned, I will address this more, and the questions will help you identify these patterns. Create good working habits, or maybe even rituals that trigger you and want you to go and make your art. I was never one for habits or routine, and I thought that repetition would be stifling and it would jar my creativity. But I've actually seen that habits give you freedom. You don't have to think about them. It's like brushing your teeth. It's something that you've practiced, and that every morning and every evening you just brush your teeth. I find that the early mornings are the best times for me to write. The world seems quiet and I can have some focused time to get my thoughts and words on paper. But getting up early was a real struggle. So I got a great tip from my coach. I bought a planner and planted a big blue X every time I managed to get up early. So my challenge was not to break the chain of X's. And guess what? After a few weeks, my body would wake up by itself. Many artists have even adopted certain rituals linked with their preparation and setting in which they choose to make their art. By putting themselves into the environment, they signal their brain and their distractions that they are ready to start their creative day. In the inspiring and amazing book by Twyla Thorpe's The Creative Habit, she records an account of an artist we are very familiar with, the composer Igor Stravinsky. He did the same thing every morning when he entered his studio to go to work. He sat at his piano and played Bach. Perhaps he needed the ritual to feel like a musician, or playing somehow connected him to his musical notes, his vocabulary. Or perhaps he was honoring his hero, Bach, and seeking his blessing for the day. Perhaps it was nothing more than a simple method to get his fingers moving, his motor running, his mind thinking music. By repeating the routine every day in his studio, induced some click that got him started. In the end, there's no ideal condition for creativity. What works for one person is useless for another. The only criteria is to make it easy for yourself. Find an environment where you love to spend your time. It should make you want to be there, and once you find it, stick with it. To get the creative habit, you need a working environment that's habit forming. Combat your distractions. Turn off your phone or even turn off the notifications. Because I have a serious case of FOMOlitis, the fear of missing outness, I get easily distracted. To help me, I have drawn a spot on the same planner that I just mentioned that I make the blue X's on. It's a 3 little dots with a little dot colored in the middle, and I call it my focus point. It's right there in front of me when I'm writing my podcasts or recording my podcasts, and when I find that I'm admiring the neighbor's flowers out the window, or staring just too long, or picking up my phone every 5 minutes, I look at the spot and get my mind on track, and I think focus on your focus. Also, we need to find cheerleaders. Surround yourself with a support force, those people that you can call when things are tough and share your wins with. Or find an art coach or a business coach, someone that you can work with. A coach will help you see the big picture, keep you focused, and hold you accountable. The U in the acronym, understanding your uniqueness. Mark Twain put it in such a poignant and powerful way when he said, "The two most important days in your life is the day that you were born and the day when you found out why." There are 7 billion people on this planet, each of us with a unique character. And finding out what you need on a personal or an interrelational or a professional level will help you to keep focused. The more you understand who you are, the more you can protect yourself or put systems in place to compensate. You are unique. We all need different things. We don't live someone else's life or dream someone else's dream. We need to find our own dream. Just this morning I had a Skype conversation with an artist friend, and she confessed that she was actually taking care of others and using all her time to be there for others, and she was ignoring her own artist's heart. In a way, caring for others was an excuse not to face her own heart, was a way of not taking her own artist's heart seriously. But she spent time this summer thinking it through, and she made a decision. She was going to take her artist's heart seriously again. It's only when we truly get connected with our uniqueness that we can shine and we can stay on track. Living someone else's dream can be exhausting. Now, I'm not a linear thinker. A step-by-step process is not my natural way of thinking. That would be my husband. I'm a circular thinker. My thoughts go round and round in circles, trying to find connections between a scala of thoughts and ideas. My mind tries to make sense of it and puts them into a new order. That's how I'm wired, and discovering this is quite liberating. I need to use it as a strength and ask others when I'm lacking. And that's why I love to make this podcast and researching the podcast, getting information from different sources and bringing it together into a new structure and actually breaking it down step by step. It's for you as the listener, as an artist, because I know in our creative thinking we can get so jumbled and overwhelmed. But by putting it into a system, putting it into bullet points and into some kind of structure, it really helps to get a clear picture. And there are resources available online. This summer I did a personality test, and it was actually quite funny, and I just read the results and I think, this is really who I am, and it gave me some understanding, and I had my husband read it as well. I'll put the link to that personality test in the podcast notes. And finally, the S of the acronym. Because it's not naturally for me to think systematically, I've applied certain systems, and that's the S of the acronym, to help me work more effectively and efficiently. Are there systems that you can use in order to keep focused? In 2 weeks' time, I'm very excited to share the inspiring story of Leonie E. Brown. She's a South African working artist, and if you email her, you'll get an autoresponder. She clearly states that she's working on her art and that it would take a few days for her to respond. She even stipulates when she will have her admin days. Things like an autoresponder will take the pressure off. You won't be distracted by every blurb or bling or notification. Or you can use a social media scheduler like Hootsuite or Tailwind, and you can plan your social media posting way ahead of time so you don't have to fuss with it every 5 minutes. You can also set a system up for your emailing, like an email service provider like MailChimp, to collect email addresses and to automate your emails. Now, this is not really a system, but it is a great way to help you stay focused, and that's to have a part-time job. What? A job? Now wait a minute, Sonia. The whole idea was for me to be a full-time artist. No, I get it, but sometimes it's necessary to keep your day job, even if it's a part-time job. It has all kinds of perks. It offers financial benefits. It will give you a routine. And you'll even have colleagues that are really interested in what you've done in the weekend. The only thing that will cost you is time. But establishing a routine and keeping the routine is more valuable than having a lot of time. And not having financial worries can be quite a relief and liberating, which are great catalysts for making good art. There are many more systems that you can implement to help your creativity to flow and to stay focused. And in future podcasts, I'll be sharing more on this. In closing, one more story. Something that happened last winter. My husband and I have always had a healthy sense of competition. He's very goal-driven and a natural linear thinker. And as I previously mentioned, I am not. It's something that I have to work at. On an occasion last winter it snowed. We headed straight for the forest, and before we knew it, we were plowing snowballs at each other. Now my husband has always been a sharp marksman, and he successfully covered me with snow. Right, I thought, that's it. I'm going to use my newly gained insights, and I'm going to hit a target. I decided to test out what I had learned, so I chose the target. We were to hit a tree a few yards away. A little too far for my liking, but I've always loved a challenge. I observed my target and contemplated what it would take for me to hit the tree with a snowball. I looked at the distance, detected if there was any wind. I felt the snow, and as I stooped down to gather my snowball, I decided in my mind I was going to hit that target. I resisted all those flashbacks of missing goals at hockey or failed attempts of basketball. I molded my ball, still looking down, imagining me hitting that tree. I stood up and with one confident swoop launched my snowball. And smash! I hit the tree right where I wanted it. You should have seen my husband's face. He was not expecting this. And it threw him off, and he started piling snowballs at the tree, missing every time. It really showed me that with the right frame of mind and focus, you can really do far more than you can imagine. Focus is the key ingredient you need to grow and to develop your art. But in order to do so, we need to face and acknowledge our fears, share them, and do whatever you can to get past them. What we can learn from them and how we can turn them into artistic gains and strengths. Dare to embrace your artistic dreams and decide what process you're going to put between opportunities and decisions. You can't do everything. Start making decisions based on your values, what's valuable to you, and that will propel you towards your goals. Develop a continuity and consistency in your life. Your art goals won't materialize overnight, but if you keep going, even if they're baby steps, you'll get there. Discover what makes you unique. What is your story? What do you need to stay motivated and focused? Don't hold back any longer, but start. Just begin. What do you have to lose? After a vacation or a break, however long or short, focus will set you on the road to success. If you want to go even deeper, then I've prepared a worksheet for you to download. The questions and answers will help you gain a renewed focus and get clear and confident about making and selling your art. To access this worksheet, go to www.soniasmallhere.com/012. I'm really excited about next week's podcast. I will share how you can get more eyes on your art in 7 days. It's a very specific strategy, and I'm so excited to share it with you. One of the questions I will answer is it better for you to be a big fish in a small pond, or to be a small fish in a big pond? And I will share an exciting story of an artist that has put this strategy into practice and has seen some amazing results. And if you're an artist and you're looking for more resources, then take a look at my website, as there are a variety of free resources available for you. If you want to receive them directly into your mailbox, then leave me your name and email, and you'll be the first to receive my regular content with tips and tricks and inspiring artist stories. Well, that's all for this week. Don't forget to share this podcast or leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast. This makes the podcast more visible and helps other artists find it. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, bye for now.